Hello, everybody. This is Rebecca with the New Moon forecast for the Deep Earth Singing Moon community for December 2015. We are coming into a time of the deepest stillness and the deepest darkness of the year, and also the rekindling of the light. The forces of darkness and chaos, and the forces of rest and stillness and sleep, and the forces of the dream, the dreaming, and the rekindling of the light. These are all of the themes for this month coming forward. Our key words for this time, our key focus for this month is breakthrough and purpose. And so we are being guided, in our own personal work to keep an awareness of the purpose that holds us and guides us, to keep an awareness that this is a time of powerful breakthrough and change, and that we can make big leaps forward, incredible leaps forward, if we just allow it and allow ourselves to slip into that awareness and that knowledge of the truth, but also allow ourselves to rest and to be still in this flow of change. Not all change comes through conscious action. A lot of change comes through the dreaming and the allowing and the stilling of self and the refocusing of purpose onto purpose, of our minds onto purpose. At the root of this month's reading and this month's forecast, we have the rune Thurisaz. This can feel like the sharp point, a real prick of anger, rage at the changes that are taking place. There's a real resistance within the being, within the soul, to the things that have not been right for us. And that can manifest, in our egos as a resistance to change and to allowing what is that needs to come through. And so we may be feeling these various forces at work. We may be feeling this resistance to change and this real anger, rage, fear, and chaos that is a barrier to that breaking through. The way to move through this is through stillness, through accessing the stillness of the body. Through accessing that stillness, we can come into a movement with the energies of the soul and the soul path and the soul work that needs to be happening, and that indeed is happening in this time. Remembering that this is, again, a time of rest, a time of stillness, a time of strength, and a time of knowing, a time of returning to the truth of our beings. And that can be very much in contrast to the doing that we want to take place. Recently, in one of the Pele reports, Kapacha said we were coming into a time of anything is possible the other week. And it's true, this is a time, I would say, even beyond that week, anything is possible. Anything is absolutely possible in this time. But because of the strength of those currents of energy that are running through, because of the very strength of those currents of possibility and of purpose, it takes, in some ways, even greater strength and greater focus and greater allowing for us to achieve the focus breakthroughs that we want to achieve, and not be swept away by the very energies which, if harnessed well, could be helping us along our journey and in our flow. So the key here is not to be fighting against the flow. The key here is to be allowing yourselves time and time again to come back into your center, to allow yourselves to feel the prick of that thorn and not run away from it, to allow yourselves to harness the energy of that Thurisaz rune, and that in that it is a rune and an energy that brings both protection and change, if it is used and harnessed in the way that it needs to be. It is a time of coming to terms with the shadows and the darkness that we harbor in ourselves and in our own souls. We are coming into this time of darkness and of night. So if you are at peace with those things within your being, if you are able to be at peace with the emotions and the feelings and the energies, that you carry in your own soul, that you carry in the patterns of your life. And I know it's not comfortable. I know it's not comfortable. You don't always have to be happy about it. But if you can allow yourself to be present with those things and not be consumed by them, and to look at them with love and acceptance for the teachings and the protection that they bring, that they have brought, then you can begin to work with them in a new way. The main focus again is on that being still, because not all progress comes from the action of moving forward, that action of going out in the world. What do we need before we can go out into the world and present something? Like if we are birthing a project, if we're birthing a baby or birthing a book, we don't go from the conception to tossing it out into the world fully fledged. No, we have the time of quiet conception. We have the time of gestation, and I'm going to pick up my baby here. He wants to come and join us today. And those times are dark and peaceful times, but I know very well from a year ago, when I was in the first stages of pregnancy, the first trimester of pregnancy, those stages, that particular stage, that is when the biggest work on the body and the soul is happening. And yet it is totally unseen. It is totally unseen in the outside world, and it is very frustrating, often, because there's so much going on. There is so much challenge in that process. It's very common to feel very, very tired, just absolutely exhausted, to feel ill. And yet on the outside, nothing is happening. But on the inside, what's going on for the fetus, for the embryo, the key, the heart, the spine, all of the major internal organs, all of the things that that baby is going to need, that is the very, structure and foundation of its physical existence, is coming into being. So we need to allow that the space. We need to allow that space in the darkness to take shape, and not be in so much of a hurry necessarily to put it out there, but to know that by being still in that place, that we can have the clarifying effects of being in the darkness, but that it's not always comfortable to be there. And that's very much the message that I'm getting from the rune casting here today, that there's, for many of us, going to be a real feeling of struggle in the self, that it's not going to be all happiness and fun and games, that actually for many of us, we are going to be faced with certain pieces of the disintegration of our being and of our lives as we knew them, as we expected them to be. And that feels like struggle, it feels like real struggle. But that the overall energy is one of, this is your true soul path. that we are being held and guided in that process, and that it is a kind of necessary upheaval. And of course, with the holiday season coming in, we very much, many of us are going to have a lot of busyness around us, you know, meeting with families, friends, finishing up work, and that can feel quite difficult as well. So the real guidance here, again, to come back to that breakthrough and purpose, and give yourself time every single day to connect with that purpose, to connect with whatever it is that's going to help to settle and to fuel that breakthrough. And to me, you know, it is accessing stillness, but it is also accessing and holding that clarity of vision of what it is that is coming into being. So those of you that have been participating in Womb you should be in a very good position to do this, because you've done a lot of clearing, you know, over the last month, and a tremendous amount of clearing. And so that may make it slightly easier to put to bed once and for all, you know, the really difficult patterns of the past, because that's, you know, that's what it is that is going on here. It's time to let those things go. It is time to move into a new way of being and knowing and acting in the world. It is time to be coming into a new awareness and a new harnessing of your true power and your true purpose. And we are very much supported in this work. It is about, you know, moving through the cycles of seed and harvest. As I said, it can feel like a struggle, but it's happening in the way that it needs to. And it does require from each of us some conscious input and conscious perception of what it is that we are doing. But the strength of the ancestors is behind us. You know, we are being held through this process, but it is a time of being quite shaken up, so that, you know, when we come through this time, we will be prepared to do the work. So yeah, I get the real feeling there's a lot of struggle in this month to come, that all of the things that we don't really want to face may still be coming up for us, especially if we haven't dealt with those things before. We may feel a real tightness in the wallet, in the body, in all of those physical situations that we are coming into contact with. We're going to be hit with restraint. We're going to be hit with conflict. We're going to be hit potentially with some real struggle, but that the core energy underneath this is really about that this is, what is it that is our true need? What is it that we are truly here to do and that we are truly bringing into being? And if we can stay focused on those things and stay focused on what it is that is our true need, and cut away anything else that is not a part of the true need, because it's going to go anyway. You know, it's going to go anyway. If you are not cutting it away for yourself, it's going to come and be a bit in your face until you do cut it away, or until it eats away enough of its own connection to you that it maybe explodes in your face. So my recommendation would be to let it go now while you can. And if you're not quite sure how to do that, yeah, if you're not quite sure how to do that, allow yourself to come into stillness. Allow yourself to ask your ancestors and your guides for help and assistance with this process. If you have a particular guide that you normally work with, you can ask them. We also are having a time of honoring the ancestors, honoring the mothers, coming up on the 13th, Sunday the 13th of December, and I invite you all to take part in that. But you can also ask the ancestral mothers to help you in this process. They are very generous and very wise in the ways of these, you know, these things, this waxing and waning and clearing and death and rebirth and all of this. So stick with them. So don't be surprised again if things feel very difficult in this month, but it is a time of showing up those patterns, showing up those things in the past so that they can be cleared once and for all. This is a real time of breakthrough and purpose. So stay crystal clear in your vision. Give yourself time for stillness and focus on your true need. What is it that is my true need? Let everything else go. If it's not a necessity, then let it go, because it's going to go anyway. And just have faith that this is a part of the clearing that is necessary for your own healing, your own becoming whole, so that you can bring through your soul path and your soul purpose into this world.